Have you ever found yourself wondering, how do I trust God when life feels overwhelming? Maybe you've asked, can I really rely on Him when everything seems to be falling apart? If so, you're not alone. We've all faced moments where our faith was tested. But here's the truth. Trusting God isn't just a nice idea. It's the foundation of a life filled with peace, purpose, and joy. In this video, we'll explore 7 powerful reasons why we can trust God completely, even when circumstances seem uncertain. Stick with me till the end because these reasons will challenge and encourage you. We'll dive into real-life applications and biblical truths that will help strengthen your faith. Plus, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let us know which of these resonates with you the most. Reason 1. God is faithful. God's faithfulness is not just a concept. It's a reality woven into the fabric of history. The Bible is full of examples of His unwavering commitment to His people. Think about the story of Abraham. In Genesis 15, God promised Abraham descendants as numerous as the stars. Though Abraham had to wait decades to see that promise fulfilled, God was faithful. In our own lives, we've likely seen glimpses of His faithfulness. Maybe He provided when finances were tight or brought peace in the midst of chaos. His faithfulness isn't dependent on us. It's who He is. Deuteronomy 7 verse 9 reminds us, "Know therefore that the Lord your God is God. He is the faithful God, keeping His covenant of love to 1,000 generations." Here's a question for us to consider. When was the last time we paused to thank God for His faithfulness? Could it be that we've overlooked His hand in our lives because we were too focused on the challenges? Trusting His faithfulness means recognizing and celebrating the ways He's already shown up for us. Reason 2. God's plans are perfect. How often do we find ourselves questioning God's plan? It's easy to trust when things are going well, but what about when life feels like a mess? Jeremiah 29 verse 11 offers us this assurance. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." God's plans are not reactive. They are proactive. He doesn't just respond to our mistakes. He already knows how to turn them into something beautiful. Imagine trying to bake a cake without a recipe. It might look like chaos at first, but when the ingredients come together in the right way, the result is incredible. That's how God's plans work in our lives. Let's reflect. Are there areas where we're struggling to trust His plan? Maybe it's in our career, relationships, or health. What if we surrendered those to Him today, trusting that His blueprint for our lives is far better than anything we could design? Reason 3. God provides strength in our weakness. Life has a way of bringing us to our knees, reminding us of our human limitations. But here's the beauty. Our weakest moments are often where God's strength shines the brightest. In 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9, God tells Paul, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Think about that. God's grace isn't just enough, it's abundant. When we feel like we can't go on, His strength empowers us. Have you ever faced a situation where you thought, "I just can't do this," yet somehow you made it through? That's God's strength at work. Here's a challenge for all of us. Instead of hiding our struggles, what if we brought them to God, trusting that His power is sufficient? How would our perspective change if we saw our weaknesses as opportunities for His strength to shine? Reason 4. God loves us unconditionally. Unconditional love is rare in this world, but it's the very foundation of God's relationship with us. Romans 8 verses 38 to 39 assures us that nothing can separate us from His love. Not our mistakes, failures, or fears. God's love doesn't change based on our performance. Think about the parable of the prodigal son in Luke 15. Despite the son's rebellion, the father welcomed him home with open arms. That's the kind of love God has for us. Let's ask ourselves, do we truly believe that God loves us this way? Or are we holding on to guilt and shame that He's already forgiven? Trusting in His unconditional love means embracing the freedom it brings and living from a place of security, not fear. Reason 5. God's timing is always right. Waiting on God can be one of the hardest parts of faith, but his timing is never wrong. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 11 reminds us, "He has made everything beautiful in its time." Think about Joseph in the Old Testament. He spent years in slavery and prison before becoming a ruler in Egypt. Looking back, we can see how God used those delays to prepare him for his destiny. Here's a thought. What if the waiting season we're in right now is God's way of preparing us for something greater? Instead of resisting the wait, let's ask Him to teach us patience and trust during this time. Reason 6. God is in control. When life feels out of control, it's comforting to remember that God is still on the throne. Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 encourages us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. Submitting to God's control doesn't mean life will always be easy, but it does mean we can have peace. Imagine being on a turbulent flight, but knowing the pilot is experienced and skilled. That's what it's like to trust God in life's storms. Are there areas where we're trying to take control instead of letting God lead? How would our lives change if we fully surrendered those to Him? Reason 7. God works everything for our own good. Even in our darkest moments, God can bring about something beautiful. Romans 8 verse 28 promises, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him." Think about the story of Job. Despite unimaginable suffering, God restored him and blessed him abundantly. This reminds us that no pain is wasted in God's hands. Let's reflect. What challenges are we facing today that we need to trust God to redeem? How can we encourage others who are struggling to believe this promise? In conclusion, trusting God completely transforms the way we navigate life's challenges and uncertainties. As we journey together in faith, let's commit to leaning on His faithfulness, love, and perfect plan. If this video encouraged you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a reminder of God's trustworthiness. Join our community and let us know in the comments which reasons stood out to you most. We're excited to grow in faith with you. See you in the next video.